Hey guys, Steven is here and welcome back to my Samsung Galaxy series. Today I'm going to be taking some epic long exposure photos during daytime using S23 Ultra. So stick around to learn how to do it yourself, and I promise you with just few hours of practice you can do it too. All of these shots were taken with this Galaxy S23 Ultra along with the ND128 and ND1000 by Freewell. Why and how to use these filters I'm gonna explain a bit later in this video. And even if you do not own the S23 Ultra, you can still apply all this knowledge of photography basics to pretty much any camera that allows you to have manual controls. Alright, enough talking, let's go outside to take some stunning photos. Alright, so let me show you how to take long exposure photos. You need to go into More tab and then to Expert RAW mode. Once you enter this mode, there are two settings that we need to focus on. First of all, the ISO. The ISO is just the sensitivity of the camera sensor. The higher the ISO, the brighter the picture we can get, but it will introduce more digital noise in the photo. Now, the most important setting that actually allows us to get this motion blur and long exposure effect in the photo is called, here inside the setting, it's called speed, but it's actually shutter speed. So the slower the shutter speed, basically it takes longer to take the photo. So we can capture this moving trails of the subjects. Let me just show it to you. Let's do telephoto lens, okay? Because it is my favorite lens. And you see, for the shutter speed, I need to go at least to 1 or 2 seconds because the boats are not moving too fast and they're too far away. So the movement of those subjects far in the distance are really minuscule for the camera to capture. So you need longer period of time to actually see this movement along the horizon. So that means 2 or 3 seconds at least we need to be using. And you see, everything is overexposed right now. So what we need to be using is the ND filter that allows us to use slower shutter speed like this. These are basically like sunglasses I'm wearing right now, so they actually do pretty much same thing. For this photo right now, I will be using this ND128, which is pretty dark filter. You know, with this digital camera, sometimes it's really difficult to tell if your image is underexposed or overexposed if you're just looking at the preview. So there are two settings that allow you to judge the exposure if you're over or underexposed. Because if you don't know that, you can get this shot, which is overexposed, everything is blown out, or underexposed, everything is just darkness and you don't get a lot of details in your photo. So first setting, which is very important right now, is called EV meter, and right now it's +2. That means everything will be overexposed. And by the way, it's very important to avoid any shakes right now, so that's why I'm using 2 seconds timer. So when I press shutter button, it's gonna take 1, 2 seconds, and then the photo will be taken. And the second setting that allows you to judge your exposure is here. It's called histogram. Make sure everything is not way to the right side, that means it's not overexposed, or everything is not way to the left side, which is underexposed. And it might look underexposed. If you look at the image, you think, oh my god, it's too dark. Even if I set my shutter speed at 30 seconds, it still looks, the preview looks too dark. But don't let it fool you. The EV meter, it says +2, and it's way too bright. So you need to aim at something either 0 for neutral exposure or +1-ish is okay too. The ferry is approaching. Same way I put the timer on, 2 seconds. Let's take the first shot. 2, 1, taking picture. Hold your phone steady, okay. Let me, oh beautiful, oh my god. Okay, let's take one more. Let's take one more, wow. Another really cool way to use long exposure photo is to take photos like this, when you just stay stationary in the shot and other subjects move around you. You can do that inside really crowded place and make people look very blurry with trails. If you do architecture photography, you can do that as well. So let me show you how we're gonna get it done. Okay, let's take another shot, maybe of this tunnel too. And I will be using the wide angle lens. And here comes one of the key differences between the super telephoto lens and the main camera, and it's different apertures. And you see, wide angle lens, this is very important, has wider aperture. That means wide angle lens allows for more light into the sensor, and for these instances you need a filter, very dark one. This is ND1000. Okay, 5, 4, I have to not move at all. So keep in mind, only those subjects that move in the frame will appear with motion blur. So it's important not to move at all. And also that's why I'm using a tripod. Oh, there is another trim 5. Oh my God, I missed the shot. I probably... Okay, now let's check the photo and let me have a look. Almost made it, guys, almost. You see, I'm a little bit overexposed here. I was actually making the decision to choose that exposure based on the EV meter, which told me it's plus 0.7 or plus 0.0. Probably it just judges the whole frame and gives me the average for the frame, and I have here a lot of shadow areas and a lot of overexposed areas. And that's why it's important to take a couple of test shots first and then adjust your settings as you go. So I decided to decrease the shutter speed to 2 seconds. Whoa, and we nailed the shot. I think it was our 3rd or 4th attempt. Okay, let's be honest, it was my 10th attempt. It took me really long to match and synchronize the movement of the tramway behind me with the timer and the exposure, but the result worth it. You can be as creative as you want. I'm just trying to show you how you can use this mode and what can be achieved. And one of my favorite ways to use this technique is for street architecture photography. That really helps to deliver the sense of movement and city life in one still photo. So let's move into our next segment, POV street photography, where you can follow along. So I was just walking here and look at the lightings, the sunset, it looks incredible. So I have already the ND 1000 filter set up here. Okay, 4 seconds, 2, 1. Okay, photo is being taken. We have the tram over there in the distance. 4 seconds long exposure shot, let's see. You see, I used main camera for this photo and it's super crisp, and it's because I use maximum resolution possible, so technically I can zoom in really close onto any part of the photo without losing much details while having this cool motion blur. And for this photo I changed the shutter speed to 2 seconds because the tram was going too quickly and would pass the whole frame within just 4 seconds, leaving almost no trails behind. You see the lighting always changing. Right now I have EV meter minus 0.3. 20 seconds ago it was 0.0. So it's always changing. You need to constantly adjust it. Now I realize the problem is I have people between me and the camera. I can block the people so they don't walk in front of the camera. Also, do not forget the S24 Ultra doesn't just have the main camera with 200 megapixel or super telephoto lens with crazy zoom, it also has a super wide angle lens which sometimes can give you a really unique perspective. And in the same way, you just have to time your photo with moving subject, and this is the final photo. Now, looking at all these photos, what phone can be at the same level as the S23 Ultra? To be honest, I cannot think of any. Let me know, guys, what you think. I did not use any kind of AI modes that allowed to achieve this similar effect, like the ones I covered in my Pixel 7a series, for example. And the reason why is because it's not always perfect, but what's more important is that you do not get as much freedom of utilizing the camera to its maximum potential as you would if you were to use manual settings. And it's basically like comparing instant noodles to properly homemade Italian pasta. And it's also important to mention that all of these photos were super easy for me to edit right on the phone. And it's because they were taken in RAW format, and they contain so much information that I can edit them without problems and bring out more details, which is way better than just using some smart AI mode or live photos on iPhone or Pixel 7a. You see, the S23 Ultra photos, they just allow for so much flexibility in post. You can't get any of that with regular JPEGs. Now guys, what do you think about the long exposure photography during daytime on this phone? I know there's probably gonna be someone who says, I prefer just the photos without any editing or any effects. So leave your thoughts down below in the comment section and help me out with the algorithm. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and if you like the Galaxy S23 Ultra, you cannot miss on this video right here. Make sure to click it, and I will see you there. Bye bye.